first round since KD left. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll continue to talk about those things. Plus, I'm going to get into the players and people being blamed. Talking about, well, you know what? They don't like the fact that the players have exercised this power. Anthony Davis forced his way out. Paul George forced his way out. They don't like it. I'm going to tell all of you to go to hell who feel that way. And I'll explain why in a minute. Because I got news for you. You think these players have the power. You are sadly mistaken. The owners still have the power. They're laughing all the way to the bank. Open your damn eyes. Players don't have the power. It's the owners who do. And guess what? The players are the reason they have the power. I'll explain all of that and then some in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant.
Are the Mavs going to join the EU later?
I don't know. It's quite possible. Between Luka Doncic, between Kristaps Porzingis, and now Boban, I mean, damn. Yeah, that is a good point. It is a good point. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Eric, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., it's a pleasure to talk to you this morning. I just wanted to go back to what you were talking about earlier about Kawhi joining the Lakers and how you like to see him join the Clippers maybe and see the guys play against each other. Okay. Well, I just want to go back to remind you about a time when the Lakers put together another star-studded team, even though a couple of the stars were a little older, Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and
really? That's where you're going? That's where you're going, really? No, why would that be an analogy? Why?
Well, because don't forget that they did go to the championship, but they lost to a team.
Your fault. So, listen, I see what you're saying. You talk about when they lost to Detroit.
Exactly.
Listen, what I'm telling you is this. Karl Malone wasn't Karl Malone anymore, and Gary Payton certainly wasn't Gary Payton anymore.
They were a little older. You know, I know they were a little older.
They weren't in the primes of their career. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay. I got you.
You know better than that. You couldn't compare that. How the hell are you going to even bring that up as a comparison with LeBron and AD 26 and Kawhi being 27?
I'm not comparing. I'm not really trying to compare. I'm just trying to say that's why they play the game. Even though you might have a super team, don't necessarily mean that you're going to win. That's why they play the game. So in other words, you held on online to get on the phone on the national airwaves to tell me that's why you play the games. That's the best you could do? Just to remind you, because I know you know that. That's the best you could do. To remind me. You called up to be on hold to remind me that they still got to play the games. Wow. That's the best I got today. Happy 4th of July. That's not good enough for you. That's not good enough for me. It's not good enough for me. You can do better than that. Have a good day, though. Enjoy the 4th of July. Don't eat too many hot dogs and burgers, but eat some.
This is an amazing night for the Los Angeles Clippers. It's historic, basically.
The Clippers organization, top to bottom, has run like a well-oiled machine.
I don't know how anybody could be critical of him joining the Los Angeles Clippers.
Players aren't stupid anymore. They're not dumb. They don't just stay where you feel like they should stay or sign places just to sign. They take everything into account.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Barbasol. Hey, sports fans. Barbasol is offering you a chance to score big when you join the Barbasol Shave Club. Grab your premium starter kit for just $1.99 today with code SHAVE at Barbasol.com. 888-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, in on my day off because this is the first show that's on the air for me since Kawhi Leonard decided that he is going to join the Los Angeles Clippers. and he coaxed Paul George into forcing his way out of Oklahoma City and coming on board with him. One of the things that I want to touch on, however, is all of this noise about players and players are not stupid anymore and players have power and blah, blah, blah. Oh, will y'all stop? Will you stop? You see, it's stuff like that that really gets you to a point where it really, really compromises everything that's going on, and it compromises everything, in terms of objectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, do the players have some influence? Sure. You want to talk about the players being in partnership with the NBA? All right, fine. It's a better situation than the NFL players, no doubt about that. But pump the brakes. Paul George wanted out of OKC. Sam Presti in Oklahoma City didn't have to oblige. They made a wise choice because why have a disgruntled or an unhappy individual on your squad paying him those exorbitant amount of dollars if he doesn't want to be there? That's fair, but the power to do something about it lied with them, not Paul George. Anthony Davis. If he really, really had the power, he would have been in the Lakers since last February. Instead of having to wait until this summer, where ultimately a new general manager or a new president of basketball operations were inserted into the mix, whose name was not Dell Demps, and instead it was David Griffin, the former executive with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who already had a relationship with Clutch Sports, LeBron James, Rich Paul, and everything, and that ultimately ended up with Anthony Davis going to the Los Angeles Lakers. But the power lied with New Orleans. And y'all missed it. And I'm going to tell you how you missed it. Forgive me, I don't remember whether I think it was 2011. See, what you had was a collective bargaining agreement that was agreed to. Keep in mind, I've been covering the collective bargaining negotiations since 1995. I kind of go back a ways with this stuff. I'll leave the aficionado status to other people and stuff like that, but I know a thing or two about collective bargaining negotiations. And I pay attention to the nuggets of information that some of you might lose or shove aside because it flies right over your head. Let me bring you back home. Stars are taken care of. Chris Paul gonna make $38 million next year, $41+ million the year after, $44 million at the age of 37. LeBron James getting a deal for $153 million, although he's worth much more. No question about that. But you need to understand something. It's incredibly important that you stomach this. While those stars get more money, there's not more basketball-related income dollars flowing in the direction of the Players Association. The money has stayed the same. It's just that the stars have more access to it. And middle-class dudes, like the Bogdanoviches of the world, have to toil around signing 1 or 2 year deals all the damn time, going to 4 different teams before he finally cashes in at Utah. He didn't cash in Washington. He didn't cash in Brooklyn. He didn't cash in with the Indiana Pacers. And over the course of these last several years, he's had to take risk after risk after risk. Why? Because the stars got paid. Once upon a time, you were signing deals, and the collective bargaining agreements stipulated that you really couldn't ink any deal that would take you past 36 years of age with these max deals and what have you. Well, conveniently, that number was moved up to age 38. Chris Paul's the president of the Players Association. When is he going to be making his $44 million? At age 37. When is LeBron James going to be making his $40+ million? Although he's worth more. But when is he going to be getting that money? Age 37. He's approaching 35. You see where I'm going? Are you paying attention? You got a pot. And the pot for the owner stays the same. Except that if you're a superstar with the capability of getting max or supermax dollars and taking up 30 to 35% of a cap, The money's going to that star player, but it's at the expense of other players. It's not at the expense of owners. The owners are still getting their pot. Period. Wake the hell up. See, it's when we sit up there and we stick at our chest and bloviate like we got power we really don't have that we get ourselves in trouble. You got the average Joe out there calling up to radio talk shows and all of this other stuff. I really got a problem with these players. I mean, my God, you sign an agreement, okay? And you sign an agreement, and damn it, you're supposed to be able to honor it, all right? I mean, who the hell are you? And they're stipulating, theoretically speaking, or if you take it verbatim, they're actually right. Because when you are a player and you sign a contract, unless you have a no-trade clause in that contract, the fact of the matter is you sign it knowing that a team has the right to move you if they so choose. You sign your contract knowing these are the stipulations that come with your contract. But as a player, there's nothing in your contract that stipulates you can sit up there and say, I want a supermax deal or a max deal, and I'm committed to you for the next 4 or 5 years, but the second something goes awry, you want out. There's nothing that stipulates that, which means that you don't have the power. The power belongs to the owners. Oh, I'm sorry. The governor of the team, because God forbid that we sit up there and we say owner in this day and age, which I personally think is idiotic. Listen, damn it. A owner does not own a player. But I see nothing wrong, by the way, with an owner saying, I own this team. Any more than you should have a problem with somebody listening to you say you own your house. It's not about the individuals that preside under the franchise tag, or it's not about the individuals living in a house. The property is yours. I had some family members over for barbecue, July 4th. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't own anybody in that house, but I owned everything in that house. And damn it, if I didn't want you touching something, if I didn't want you in a particular room, if I didn't want you damaging something, if I wanted you to take your damn shoes off and not roll dirt all over my house, it's my house. I own it. I don't own you, but I own it. The idiocy in this politically correct world that we're living in, where we got to literally have a discussion to the point where it becomes a media storyline. Oh, my God. An owner says he owns his team. That's offensive to people. Y'all smoking crack. Something is wrong with you people. What the hell has this world come to? If I purchased the New York Knicks, that does not mean I own R.J. Barrett. It does not mean I own Alonzo Trier. It does not mean I own Kevin Knox. But I'll be damned if I don't own that team. I am the owner. It is mine. I paid for it. If I own Madison Square Garden, does that mean I own everybody walking through Penn Station? Does that mean I own people who work inside of Madison Square Garden? No, it means I own the damn building. I have no problem with folks just sitting there saying we call them governors or whatever the case may be or whatever. But to actually create storylines where it's a problem with the word owners, I've always disagreed with Draymond Green about that. We got so many damn battles to fight. That's what we gonna fight? Well, I don't like the word owner. He ain't talking about you. He talking about the team. It's his team. You know how much money it costs to turn on the lights at the Oracle? Or at Madison Square Garden? How about the concession stands? How about the food that comes up in there? How about the sanitation workers? Or the workers, rather, that clean the building? No, you're not owning individuals, but you own the property. And there's an overhead rife with responsibilities that comes with it to take care of the property. And it's your responsibility to do it because it's yours. Why? Because you own it. How the hell do we not understand that? See, this is where people get in trouble. And that's why we have the state of affairs that exists in this world in politics and beyond, because we've taken things to such a damn extreme that you got millions of people out there going like this. Let's reel this back in. Something wrong with this picture. We actually had a debate about bathrooms a few years ago. Oh, why does it have to say male and female? Why is that? Because it's males and females. That's why. It's unbelievable. Everybody lost their damn minds. But I digress. Because far be it for me to just make common sense. Far be it for me to say something that just simply makes sense and is sensible. Because it might come across as offensive to people. I buy a team. And because I now own the team and I'm recognized as the owner of the team, it's offensive to people. That's the world we're living in. You know, I'm sorry to get biblical on y'all, but the Bible does say, in the end, things that are wrong will be portrayed as right. And things that are glaringly right will be portrayed as wrong. I remember I told my pastor months ago, I didn't understand that before. I certainly understand it now. It is utterly ridiculous and stupid. But that's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Don't come to me with players and power. OKC did not have to trade Paul George. The Pelicans did not have to trade Anthony Davis. It would have been perfectly within the Pelicans and the Oklahoma City Thunder's right to say, you have a contract. Show up and play. I'm not trading you any damn place. And if you don't do it, I ain't going to pay you. How about that? And somewhere along the way, y'all need to look at the collective bargaining agreement. Because you got elite players with many, many years of service that was taken care of. Once upon a time, like I said, couldn't get these deals past the age of 36. Now the number was moved up to age 38. Chris Paul's your president. LeBron James is behind the scene, ain't showing up to meetings, but in Chris Paul's ear at every turn, and he's manipulating things too. And I ain't knocking him. This is business. There's nothing to be offended by here. I'm simply pointing out, in the process of all of that taking place, basketball-related income hasn't changed. The players are still limited to 50%. So it ain't about more money. It's about stars getting taken care of, but obviously at the expense of lesser tier players. Go ahead and celebrate it. In some cases, it's worthy of celebration. In some cases, not so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. Back with your calls and more in a minute. This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.